Yeah, it's it's crazy. We kind of live an interesting life because we are missionaries, but we do work. We have our own ministry, but then we do work for a big organization, Christ for All Nations. And so most people, when they go on a missions trip, you land in the country and you have someone meet you there and they take you to where you're staying and they have transportation for you, and then they take you to the village or to the leader or the church or whatever that needs to be done. We are the first person on the ground in a country, so there's no contacts, there's no anything. We are there to lay the foundation for an event sometimes a year later, 6 months later, 4 months later. So we land, we don't know anyone, we don't know. Well, we try to get contacts on the ground, but like we essentially don't know what we're walking into. And then we try and find transportation, we try and find housing, we try and find, pastors and people that we can trust. And it's really cool because time and time again, I mean, we've been doing this type of work now for 3 years, and we've been doing missions work since we're married, 11 years. 3 years ago, during COVID, the Lord was really speaking to our family in 2019, 2020, early 2020. And we just believed that it was time to stand up in a remnant and just rise up as a family. And so we started like going to every church service that was open in 2020. We started fighting to keep the churches open. We started doing all these things that were really kind of new to us, and started really being bold with our faith and sharing it. And in that season, the Lord showed me. He said, "I want you to do this training, this like 6 month training." And I looked it up, and I was like, "No, that is not for me. Like, I can't do that, God. You can pick anyone else. Like, I going and preaching in front of 100,000 people in Africa, going and doing this stuff, like this is not." And he said, "Good, it won't be you, it'll be me." And I said, "Okay, well, if you promise it'll be you, I'll sign, I'll apply." And I probably spent like 10 minutes on an application I should have spent an hour on, and sent it not thinking anything of it, and ended up getting accepted into this boot camp type thing. And it was with Christ for All Nations, CFAN, and their main focus has always been and always will be Africa. That's where they've always focused their resources towards. Reinhard Bonnke was the founder. I've seen 85, 86 million documented decisions for Christ over the past 30 years. We come to Africa, we do large crusades where sometimes there'll be 1 million people on a field at one time. And we'll preach the gospel, the real gospel. We'll pray for the sick, and then we'll get them connected to a church, every person who accepts Jesus. And so, and being connected with that organization, that's where they do their stuff. It's crazy, we struggle sometimes with our kids, like thinking like, is this okay? Like, are we ruining them? Like they're not a part of like, their church family, like in America, and they'll say they miss home or they miss this or that. And, we don't want them to despise. You see all this, you hear stories of pastors' kids and stuff, and you're like, man, like, was it worth it that your kids don't love the Lord and you've been a pastor your whole life? Like, was it worth it? But the Lord really squashed that fear in us and said, the greatest thing that your kids can see is see their mom and dad running after Jesus with all their hearts. Like, that's the greatest thing they can see and the greatest example they see. And they're never going to know a day without Jesus. We believe that they're never going to know a day without Jesus. And what they're being instilled with here is invaluable. Like the lessons that they learn living overseas and the experiences they have, like, they're growing up differently, than most kids. And we know that right now. We just announced that we're doing it's the Copper Belt Crusade. After Christ for All Nations does their giant crusade in here in Zambia, we do 10. We're going to be doing a crusade right after it in the region. That's kind of like a follow-up crusade off of the all the excitement and the wave of you know whatever that happens from that. And since we announced that, like, the devil's really been attacking our family with sickness. Our baby has been sick. He's 6 months old, Paxton. Liberty, now we've had her at the hospital 2 days in a row now. Parker, our oldest son, was saying he wasn't feeling good. Like, I was really sick. Like, it's just been like a one after another. Like, we've just seen crazy things happening around our house, our flat here where we're staying. Like, it's just been wild. And so just praying for divine protection over our health and our family, um, you know, for peace in our family, for finances. We're believing for money for this crusade that we're doing. It's $16,000, which maybe sounds like a lot to some people, but really it's not. I mean, it's not. We'll see tens of thousands of people come to the Lord, and every single person will be connected with a church. We don't believe in evangelism where we catch the fish and leave them on the shore. Like, we connect every person with a church so that they can be discipled, so that they can become a part of a church body. That's the full call of an evangelist. It's not just to get someone saved and walk away. It's to help them become discipled as well. So that's what we're doing here. And so someone who's wanting to think about missions, like, I would just say, like, do it, jump in, even if it's just going on like a 2-week trip. Like, we even have options here with our ministry to come on trips and serve with us here in Africa for a week, like, talk to someone. It doesn't have to be a giant missions organization. It can be a missionary family like us, like, who needs people for something we're doing, and come and serve for a week in Africa, or go to Mexico, go to Central America, go on a trip to wherever, go to Turkey right now. They need so much help in Turkey and Syria right now. I mean, like, do stuff like that, and and you'll see the Lord do amazing things, really. Like, it's awesome.